Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chapter 6 Nonverbal Communication. Previously, we've been discussing language. That is the verbal communication. The words that we say is a big part of our communication, but that being said, a much bigger part is nonverbal communication because that is everything beyond the language that we use. So, it's important to discuss. Let's talk about it. We start with what is nonverbal communication, and nonverbal communication is the process of intentionally or unintentionally signaling meaning through behavior other than words. So, let's break that down a little bit. First, it is the process of intentionally or unintentionally signaling. So, whether I intend to or if it's unintentional, communication is still occurring. Also, it is signaling meaning through behavior other than words. What is defined through that? A lot of things. So it is just everything except for words. Why is communicating without speaking not accurate? Why is that not an accurate definition of nonverbal communication? Well, because while I can still communicate in ways other than words by still speaking. So obviously, it is just simply not words. Meaning can be expressed by non linguistic means, and that is nonverbal communication. So, let's define it through some characteristics. Some characteristics of nonverbal communication is that it is always occurring, it is primarily relational, it's ambiguous, it occurs in mediated messages as well as in person, and it's influenced by gender and culture. So let's dive right in first with that it is always occurring. All nonverbal communication can potentially create a message. So, no matter what, you are always communicating. In this situation right here with this woman who, what is she communicating? She may not be intending to communicate anything, but may be communicating boredom or things like that. Another example could be even if I leave an area. Am I no longer communicating? Well, there is meaning by the fact that I am not there. So, again, nonverbal communication is always occurring. Is there any way that we can avoid communicating anything? Not really. So instead, what should we strive for? By communicating things that we want to communicate and to, to communicate with intention. Nonverbal communication is relational or primarily relational. It defines the relationships we want to or have with others. Uh, what are some of the nonverbal communication behaviors that we use to create relationships? Things like smiling, hugging, um, how close do we stand? How far do we stand from people? If we want to form a relationship, if we want to deny a relationship from forming. Also, it conveys emotions that we are unwilling or even unable to express or of which we are unaware. We, whether we want to or not, our nonverbal communication expresses our emotion. And that is a good thing because if we bottle up our emotions, that can be very challenging and can cause a lot of um, serious psychological issues. Along with that, when we are unwilling to express our emotions, it just comes out, and that is a good thing because, and that's one of the big benefits of face to face communication, because we have to act authentically in those situations where we are unable to control our emotion. Nonverbal communication is also ambiguous. Nonverbal communication can lead to many misunderstandings. What is this person communicating? I'm sure that everyone in the class could absolutely come up with a different meaning for what she is communicating. Nonverbal communication also occurs in mediated communication. What are some of the ways we express nonverbal communication in mediated messages besides the emojis? We use emojis because text does not communicate nonverbal communication well. We don't get the inflection, we don't get the body language, we do not get the facial expression, we do not get the eye contact, we do not get how close the person's standing, etc., etc., etc. So we use this information to show that nonverbal expression. But are there other ways that we can do it? Pauses. How long does it take for me to communicate back? Because, I mean, let's say you text me, hey, James, let's go out for pizza later. I then, you see the red notification and then just wait and wait and wait and wait until finally a few hours later, sure, that sounds good. Obviously, the nonverbal communication means something there. Also, nonverbal communication is influenced by gender and by, what's the word, culture. So, emblems are the culturally understood substitutes for words. Things like, okay, thumbs up, thumbs down, finger up, two fingers, three fingers, four fingers, five fingers. So we use a lot of these to substitute words for words when words are not, or spoken words anyway, are not understood, or if they are inappropriate. For example, if you were in a library and they're like, hey, you want to come over here? You want to come sit with me? But instead of yelling it from across the room, you just go, then I can say, or obviously. Okay. Culture affects how nonverbal cues are monitored. Also, some nonverbal behaviors are universal, but the ways in which they are used can vary. A good example of this is eye contact. That we all make eye contact, but in some cultures, when they are used varies because it can communicate a lack of respect in some cultures. And touch is also very universal, but obviously mediated through culture. So, nonverbal communication is also influenced by gender, in that females are more nonverbally expressive and are better at interpreting others' nonverbal behaviors, and that women also tend to smile more, use more facial expressions, use more but less expansive head, hand, arm gestures, touch others more, stand more closely to others, are more vocally expressive, and make more eye contact. All of which to say that all of these are the ways that over multiple studies there have just been quantitative data to support these findings, but doesn't really mean anything. Cool. Now we talk about the functions or purposes of nonverbal communication. We will first, in this first section, we are going to discuss creating and maintaining relationships as well as regulating interactions. And then we are going to conclude with the rest of them in the next video. So we start with creating and maintaining relationships. And we show how we feel about other people in our interactions non-verbally. So when we when we are revealing the attitudes towards the people, that could either create or maintain a relationship. When you are interested in hanging out with a friend, or when you're hanging out with a friend, what are some of the nonverbal communication behaviors that you do. You smile, you laugh, you uh, appropriate touching. And if your friend if you are attracted to your friend, then of course that can become inappropriate touching. But that is if that is what both people want. So we also have creating and maintaining relationships. We also have regulating interactions. The ways that we use regulators as cues that help control verbal interaction. What are some of the ways that we tell someone, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now? Or, when I stop talking, what do I expect? That you then talk. So, we use regulators all the time, even though we do not really put a definition onto it. With that, we're going to conclude this section and we're going to go ahead and jump into the next section in the next video.